So it seems that some South African arms companies have been cashing in on the war in Yemen. A report by NPO Open Secrets has found these companies have been selling weapons to parties involved in the conflict. Open Secrets says the companies are just as responsible for human rights violations as the countries perpetrating them. Let's discuss this with former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillay. Navi Pillay, it's always good to have you with us. Tell us more about these very concerning findings.
Mm-hmm. Well, good morning to you, Jane, and to viewers. Thank you for having me. I was at the launch of this Open Secrets report on South Africa's complicity in war crimes in Yemen. And of course, I attended with enthusiasm because I was the High Commissioner for Human Rights and covered Yemen in 2014 and so on. This report has investigated the activities of Rheinmetall Denel Munition, which is a South African SOE, which has a joint venture with the German company of the same name, Rheinmetall. Rheinmetall, Germany has 51% shares, South African Denel 49%. And this body sells arms to Yemen, and since the start of the civil conflict, from 2015 to 2016, we have sold 7 billion arms to Yemen. Not to Yemen, but to Saudi Arabia and UAE. And the question is, are we tracking whether these arms are being used against civilians? The conflict is very complex in Yemen. There is evidence of widespread abuses of human rights by all parties. The coalition of forces led by Saudi Arabia and UAE, and of course strong support from the US, have used their considerable military might to unleash a barrage of attacks against the civilian population. And these are listed as war crimes in the UN report of September 2020. So I was very interested that Open Secrets followed up what's going on in our own country. What is being said and done in our name, we the civilians? I would hate to be responsible for blood, money and arms being used in Yemen. We heard from NGO representative inside Yemen yesterday, and she said there were more than 500 attacks and airstrikes. They struck at people, civilians were killed, houses damaged, roads damaged. Now they don't have water. My successor, Zayed, the High Commissioner, said the situation is dire. So this is what, in this context, we are providing the arms that these Saudi and UAE are supplying to God knows who inside the country.
And Navi, let me just jump in here. I mean, knowing how complicated that conflict is, you touched on it, you can only assume that innocent people have been affected by the arms sold by South Africans and the government, obviously, because people live in tight spaces, you've got so many different factors on the ground, so many hospitals, for example, have been attacked as well. So it would seem incredible if we weren't involved in any of those sort of abuses.
You know, so I like that the Open Secrets is looking at what kind of controls and checks we have inside our country. Let me first mention that the attack on the port city of Hodeida was investigated by United Nations as a public report, and they named RDM and Rheinmetall of Germany as the likely source of munitions used in the attack. And they considered the character of the fragments and the satellite imagery of RDM specialized manufactured kind of weaponry. So there's a direct link, there's a public report, and you wonder why the authorities here in South Africa didn't pick that up. Open Society then approached our organization called eNCA, and eNCA is the National Conventional Arms Control Act here in South Africa. It's a body, oversight body, composed of, you won't be surprised, ministers and deputy ministers. It's supposed to get information from all the ministries. they did not investigate this despite the UN report, and they told Open Secrets that they didn't do so because DIRCO didn't inform them about this report. And we want
Navi
oversight
Pillay,
here
I'm sorry, I'm going to have
to be taken seriously.
Yeah, and sorry, I've got to jump in here. We've run out of time. Thank you for sharing this with us. I mean, it's incredibly important. It is one of the worst humanitarian crises in the world. Many women and children and innocent people are dying. Navi Pillay, always good to talk to you.